Welcome to my story time by mybooksummary.com. Get ready for quick wisdom of countless stories and explore. Leonardo, the Terrible Monster by Mo Willems. Once upon a time, in a world where monsters were supposed to be scary, where they lurked in dark corners, hid under beds, and popped out of closets with monstrous roars, there was a little monster named Leonardo. But there was a problem. Leonardo wasn't scary, not even a little. While other monsters had sharp teeth, menacing eyes, and deep, growly voices, Leonardo had tiny, round eyes that twinkled like a kitten's. His fur was soft and fluffy instead of scruffy and wild. And when he tried to growl, it sounded more like a hiccup than a terrifying roar. It wasn't that Leonardo didn't want to be scary. He did. More than anything, he dreamed of making little kids shriek and run away, just like the big, scary monsters did. But no matter how hard he tried, no matter how many times he practiced making creepy faces in the mirror, nobody was ever scared of him. Instead of running away, people patted his head. Instead of screaming, they smiled. Instead of hiding, they asked him if he wanted a cookie. Leonardo was a terrible monster, and he was determined to change that. Leonardo's monster training plan. Leonardo decided that if he wanted to be a real monster, he needed to train. So he studied. He read every book on monsterology that he could find. He pored over titles like How to Scare a Kid in 5 Seconds, The Art of the Jump Scare, and Growling 101, A Beginner's Guide. He watched monster movies, taking notes on how the scariest creatures moved, growled, and pounced. He even tried shadowing some of the biggest, scariest monsters he knew. But no matter what he did, he couldn't get it right. When he practiced his scary face in the mirror, he ended up looking adorable. When he tried creeping up behind someone, he tripped over his own feet. And when he finally perfected his growl, a group of children just giggled and said, "Ah, how cute." Leonardo was devastated. Maybe I'm not meant to be a monster, he thought. But then he had an idea. If he couldn't naturally be scary, maybe he just needed to find the perfect victim. Someone so easily frightened that even he could scare them. And so Leonardo set off to find the most nervous, jumpy, easily scared person in the whole world. Finding the perfect victim, Leonardo searched far and wide. He looked in the park, in the grocery store, and even in the library, where people should have been scared when he let out a roar. But instead, the librarian just shushed him. Then finally he found him. A boy named Sam. Sam was small. Sam had big, round eyes that looked like they had seen too much. Sam looked like the kind of kid who might jump at his own shadow. This is it, Leonardo thought. This is my chance to finally be scary. He took a deep breath, stretched out his tiny arms, made the scariest face he could manage and, rare, the room fell silent. Leonardo waited, holding his breath. And then, Sam burst into tears. Huge, dramatic, wailing sobs. Leonardo gasped. He had done it. He had finally scared someone. But as Sam's cries continued, Leonardo realized something. Sam wasn't scared. He was sad. Why Sam was crying? Leonardo sat down next to Sam, who was still sniffling. "So, I scared you, huh?" he asked, feeling a little awkward. Sam shook his head. "No." Leonardo blinked. "No." Sam wiped his nose on his sleeve. "I'm not crying because you scared me. I'm crying because he took a deep, shuddering breath. "Because today has been awful." Leonardo tilted his head. "Awful?" Sam nodded, his lip trembling. "First, my brother ate my last cookie. Then my best friend didn't want to play with me. Then I tripped and scraped my knee. And then my goldfish looked at me weird. And I just knew he doesn't like me anymore." Leonardo's heart sank. He had wanted to scare Sam. But instead, he had found someone who just needed a friend. The big decision. Leonardo thought about his life as a monster. About all the times he had tried to scare people and failed. And then he thought about how sad Sam looked. And right then and there he made a decision. He could spend his life trying to be a scary monster. Or, he could be something even better. A terrible monster, but a great friend. Leonardo took a deep breath and smiled. "You know what, Sam?" Sam looked up, sniffling. "What?" "I am a terrible monster," Leonardo admitted. "But I think I'd be a really great friend." Sam blinked. "A friend?" Leonardo nodded. "Yeah, and if your goldfish ever looks at you weird again, I'll tell him to stop." For the first time all day, Sam smiled. And that's how Leonardo the terrible monster became Leonardo, the wonderful friend. Final thoughts: the power of kindness. Mo Willems' Leonardo, the terrible monster is a heartwarming and humorous story about self-acceptance, friendship, and the power of kindness. At first, Leonardo believes his purpose is to scare people, but he soon realizes that making a difference in someone's life is much more important than being frightening. The book carries a beautiful message for children and adults alike. Sometimes, the thing we think we should be isn't what we're meant to be at all. And sometimes the best thing we can do is simply be kind. Through playful illustrations and a clever, funny narrative, Leonardo, the terrible monster reminds us that we don't have to fit into expectations to be special. Whether you're a monster or a kid, being a good friend is always more important than trying to be something you're not. And that's a lesson worth remembering. Stay tuned for more enlightening content. Head over to www.mybooksummary.com. Don't forget to subscribe and share the magic with friends. And let's grow together through the power of books and interesting stories.